The Catholic nun Bernadette Soubirous, who we will now tell you about, is known for having 18 visions of the Virgin Mary. 11 years before her death, she entered the Sisters of Mercy convent in the French city of Nevers. There, the novice died in 1879 at the age of 35. Before her canonization, her body was exhumed 3 times, in 1909, 1919 and 1925. And each time, doctors and priests were convinced of the incorruptibility of the remains. Over the years, scientists have only noted a slight darkening of the skin, but have not found any signs of decomposition. She lies in a glass reliquary decorated with intricate gold carvings, a young woman in monastic robes. Her hands are prayerfully folded with a rosary clutched in them, as if the beauty had just prayed fervently and accidentally fallen asleep. If it were not for the date of her death, April 16, 1879, Saint Bernadette could easily be mistaken for our contemporary. She was placed in the reliquary in the city of Lourdes in 1925, and for almost 100 years, controversy has not subsided around the nun, whose face continues to shine with imperishable beauty. Some say that this is a miracle of the Lord, one of the manifestations of the supernatural in our mortal world. Others accuse the Vatican of a crude forgery in playing on the feelings of believers. Let us try to figure out what's what. So, Marie Bernadette Soubirous was born in 1844 into an ordinary family of a miller and a laundress. Because of poverty, she had to grow up early and learn how to earn her bread. At the age of 12, the little girl was already working as a servant. She probably would have shared the fate of her impoverished father and mother and hundreds of other poor people in France, if not for an amazing meeting on February 11, 1858. That day, the girl was looking for brushwood and bones for a junk dealer near the city of Lourdes, where her family lived. Finding herself near a small grotto, she saw an unusual light coming from it, and drew attention to a rosehip bush at the entrance, trembling as if from the wind. In the grotto there was a stranger in white clothes, according to the girl, resembling a young lady. Subsequently, over 5 months, she saw the stranger 16 more times, that is, 17 times in total. According to Maria Bernarda, she repeatedly asked her to give her name, but she did not tell her, only asked her to repent, pray for sinners and build a chapel in the grotto. During the 12th appearance, the young lady finally answered who she was: "I am the Immaculate Conception." The girl told her parents and the local priest about her meeting with the stranger, but if you think that they believed her right away, you are mistaken. On the contrary, she was accused of lying, intimidated, because no one saw this except her. The newspapers declared her ill. They wrote that she showed signs of catalepsy. In addition, many doubted that the Holy Virgin could speak to the child in the Occitan dialect, the dialect of the poor people of the city outskirts. However, the fact that the illiterate girl told amazing things that she could not know, alerted the clergy. For example, she was definitely not aware that 4 years ago Pope Pius IX adopted the dogma of the Immaculate Conception of the Virgin Mary, a document that stated that the Virgin Mary did not inherit original sin from her parents Anna and Joachim. Maria Bernarda heeded the words of the Virgin Mary and fervently prayed for sinners in the grotto, ate grass and washed it down with dirty water, repented. Imagine the general surprise when soon a pure spring began to flow in this place. It became clear that the grotto was truly unusual. In the 60-70s of the 19th century, pilgrims from all over France flocked to Lourdes. The girl met the Bishop of Nevers and surprised him with her modesty. She did not attribute any merits to herself and did not consider herself chosen. On the contrary, Maria Bernarda said, "I had no right to this grace. The Blessed Virgin took me as one would pick up a pebble from the road. If the Blessed Virgin chose me, it was because I was the most ignorant. If she had found someone even more ignorant than me, she would have chosen her." Later, a bishop took her monastic vows in 1868, and Maria Bernarda, the future Saint Bernadette, became one of the nuns, the Sisters of Mercy, caring for the suffering, alleviating their physical and moral suffering. She herself was sick with tuberculosis of the bones and died on April 16, 1879. She was only 35 years old. The Catholic Church exhumed Bernadette's body 3 times, in 1909, 1919 and 1925. The first showed that the remains were incorrupt, the second and third confirmed this. In 1925, she was beatified, and in 1933, she was canonized. The body of Saint Bernadette was carefully covered with wax and placed in a reliquary. Since then, she and the places associated with the appearance of the Blessed Virgin Mary to her have become objects of fervent worship for Catholics from all over the world. Lourdes is one of the most famous pilgrimage sites today. Every day, many people report miracles of healing, which Saint Bernadette is famous for. The Vatican claims that all cases reported by believers are thoroughly investigated, so that in reality, not all are declared miracles, but only a small part. But this is not the main thing, but the fact that people actually recover. And several hundred cases of genuine healing of pilgrims have been recorded. Modern science cannot explain this in any way yet. But there are still skeptics, from among the atheists, of course. What confuses them about this whole story is that the face and figure of the saint are very similar to a wax statue. Although the Vatican claims that the wax is just a covering of the incorruptible relics, researchers are not allowed near the body. They say that nothing can be touched. There is only the testimony of Dr. Comte, who conducted the autopsy after the exhumation of 1925. He wrote that he was amazed by the preservation and elasticity of the body, and especially the state of the liver, which did not lose its consistency. But no one verified this data later. Among skeptics, there is also a popular version that the true incorruptible relics of Bernadette of Lourdes exist, but they are not in the crystal reliquary, but in another place. The beautiful nun, who is on display, is nothing more than her wax copy, naturally embellished. A 35-year-old woman who died of a serious illness could not by definition look so blooming. But despite the doubts of skeptics in visually comparing the state of Saint Bernadette with other incorruptible relics, its complete immutability is noted. The rosary beads in her hands are subject to corrosion, and the hands themselves are still soft and smooth, although during the last exhumation, it was noted in the description that the skin on them had wrinkled from exposure to moisture. In a word, the beautiful nun in her crystal coffin looks like a sleeping beauty from a fairy tale, only getting better with age. And the simplest question to which atheists and simply skeptics have no answer, if Saint Bernadette, as they claim, is a wax doll, then who heals the pilgrims who come to her? There is no modern clinic in the reliquary. It is this still unexplained fact that makes many people believe in a real miracle. With the exception, of course, of atheists, whose religion denies God and such miracles. But in the afterlife they will be told that they were wrong.